Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually felt good about your finances? Not just okay, not just getting by, but genuinely, confidently good. Because here's what I'm noticing, and I think you're noticing it too. People who are earning more money than they ever have in their lives are somehow feeling poorer than ever before. And I don't mean people who are struggling paycheck to paycheck. I mean doctors, engineers, small business owners, people with six-figure salaries, sitting at their kitchen table at night wondering why it still feels so tight. That feeling is real. It's not in your head. And today I'm going to tell you exactly why it's happening. And more importantly, what you can actually do about it. So stick with me here, because what I'm about to share is going to completely change the way you look at money, at your income, and at the economy around you. This isn't one of those videos where I tell you to cut your coffee or stop eating avocado toast. This is real talk about a real problem that is quietly draining millions of Americans dry, and most people have absolutely no idea it's even happening to them. Let's start with the foundation. There is a massive difference between your income and your actual purchasing power. Most people only focus on the first one. They get a raise, they celebrate, they feel better for about 2 weeks, and then somehow everything feels exactly the same. That's not a coincidence. That's by design. You see, when people talk about inflation, they usually throw around this number, the official CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And right now, that number might look like it's coming down, like things are getting better. But here's what they don't tell you. The CPI does not measure what you actually buy. It measures a basket of goods that was designed decades ago and has been adjusted and tweaked over and over again, specifically to make inflation look smaller than it actually is. Think about what your real life costs. Housing, groceries, health insurance, car insurance, childcare, education. These are the things eating your paycheck alive, and these are the exact categories where prices have gone absolutely through the roof over the last few years. The average American family is spending thousands of dollars more every single year just to maintain the same standard of living they had in 2019. Not to improve their life, just to stay in the same place. And if your income hasn't gone up by at least that much, and for most people it hasn't, then you are actually poorer today than you were 5 years ago, even if your paycheck looks bigger. That is the first reason people feel poorer. Their real purchasing power is shrinking even when their salary is growing. But there's a second layer to this that almost nobody talks about. And this one is even more dangerous. It's called lifestyle inflation. And before you think I'm about to lecture you, just hear me out, because this isn't your fault. This is something the entire economy is engineered to do to you. When you get a raise or a promotion or a better job, something very predictable happens. You upgrade your apartment. You get a nicer car. You start going to slightly better restaurants. You subscribe to more streaming services. You book a better hotel on vacation. None of these things individually seem crazy. They all feel like reasonable rewards for your hard work. But what happens is your expenses quietly rise to match your income almost automatically, and you end up with the exact same amount of money left over at the end of the month. Sometimes even less. This is why people earning $200,000 a year can still feel completely broke. Because their spending grew right alongside their income, and they never actually built any real financial cushion underneath them. Now here's where it gets really interesting. And this is the part I want you to pay very close attention to. The reason lifestyle inflation is so dangerous isn't just because it keeps you from saving. It's because of what it costs you in the long run. Every dollar that you earn and immediately spend is worth only that dollar. But every dollar that you invest and let grow is worth $10, $20, maybe $50 down the road, depending on how long you let it work. So when you upgrade your lifestyle with every raise, instead of investing even a portion of it, you're not just spending that extra money. You are trading away your future wealth for comfort right now. And most people don't realize they're doing it until they're in their 50s, looking at their retirement account, thinking, how is this so small after all these years of working so hard? Let me paint you a picture. Say you get a raise of $500 a month. You're excited. You decide to move into a nicer apartment that costs an extra $300 a month. You upgrade your car payment by another $150, and you start spending the last $50 on little conveniences here and there. That raise is completely gone. Now imagine instead, you had kept your lifestyle exactly the same and invested all $500 a month into a diversified index fund. Over 30 years at a 7% average return. That $500 a month becomes roughly $600,000. $600,000 just from that one raise, from one decision to not let your lifestyle expand. That's the power of what you're giving up every time you let lifestyle inflation take over. But okay, let's say you're nodding along and you're thinking, yes, I get it, I need to save and invest more. But here's the third reason people feel poorer, and this one is actually the sneakiest of all. It's the debt trap. And I'm not just talking about credit card debt, although that's a huge part of it. I'm talking about the entire structure of how most Americans fund their lives. Car loans, student loans, buy now, pay later. Mortgage payments stretched to the absolute edge of what the bank says you qualify for. Medical debt. We have been sold this idea that debt is just a normal part of life, that it's how you get the things you want, that it's fine because everyone does it. But what debt actually does is it steals from your future self and hands the money to someone else's wealth-building machine right now. When you carry a balance on a credit card at 24% interest, you're paying nearly a quarter of every single dollar you owe just to stand still. When you buy a car on a 7-year loan, you're paying thousands of dollars extra for the privilege of driving it, while it's simultaneously losing value. When you take on the maximum mortgage the bank will approve, you are not buying a home. You are buying a payment, and you are one job loss or one medical emergency away from losing everything. Debt makes you feel like you have more than you do, and then it slowly drains you for years, sometimes decades, leaving you feeling constantly behind no matter how hard you work. So now you understand the 3 forces working against you. Real inflation eating your purchasing power. Lifestyle inflation absorbing every raise you get. And debt quietly bleeding you dry in the background. So what do you actually do about it? Because I didn't bring you all this way just to make you feel hopeless. Let's talk solutions. The first thing you have to do, and I know this sounds simple, but most people never actually do it, is get brutally honest about your real financial picture. Not what you earn, what you keep. Pull up your bank statements from the last 3 months and add up every single thing you spent. Not to beat yourself up, but to see clearly where your money is actually going. Most people are genuinely shocked when they do this exercise. They discover subscriptions they forgot about, habits that are costing way more than they realized, and patterns that are completely out of line with what they actually value. You cannot fix a problem you refuse to see clearly. The second thing is to build what I call a pay yourself first system. Before your money touches your lifestyle, before it pays a bill or buys a coffee, or sits in your checking account where you will inevitably spend it, you automate a transfer into a savings or investment account. You decide in advance what percentage of every paycheck goes straight to your future. And you make it automatic so you never have to rely on willpower. Even if it starts at 5%, even if it starts at $50 a month, you build the habit, and then you increase it every single time your income grows. This one habit alone, consistently applied over time, is the single most powerful wealth-building move that everyday people have access to. Third, you have to start treating investing as non-negotiable, not as something you do with whatever is left over. Because if you wait until the end of the month to invest what's left, there will never be anything left. The market doesn't care about your timing. It doesn't care about perfection. It cares about consistency and time. A simple low-cost index fund held consistently for 20 to 30 years has made more ordinary people wealthy than almost any other investment strategy in history. You don't need to be smart about the stock market. You need to be consistent and patient. That's it. Fourth, attack your high-interest debt with everything you have. I'm not saying avoid all debt forever. I'm saying the debt that charges you 15, 20, 25% interest is mathematically destroying your ability to build wealth. Every dollar you pay off in high-interest debt is a guaranteed return equal to whatever that interest rate is. There is no investment in the world that gives you a guaranteed 24% return. So if you have credit card debt, prioritize eliminating it aggressively before anything else. And finally, the most underrated wealth-building move of all, increase your income on purpose. Not just by hoping for a raise, but by actively developing skills that the market pays more for. By building side income streams. By positioning yourself for opportunities that didn't exist 5 years ago. The fastest way to fix a gap between your income and your expenses is to widen that gap from both sides. Spend less and earn more at the same time. Here's the truth that I want to leave you with. Feeling poorer despite earning more is not a personal failure. It is a predictable outcome of a system that was not designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to keep you spending, keep you borrowing, and keep you one paycheck away from needing to do it all over again. But once you understand how the system works, you can step outside of it. You can make decisions that serve your future instead of someone else's bottom line. The gap between people who build wealth and people who spend their lives feeling financially stuck is not luck or income or even intelligence. It's awareness and intentional action taken consistently over time. So take what you learned today and do something with it. Even one thing. Start the spreadsheet. Set up the automatic transfer. Make the call to refinance that debt. Because the best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is right now. If this hit home for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one.